Hi everyone, it is Heather coming to you from a very wet and rainy Australia. I live on the Sunshine Coast. Normally it's very sunny, so I'm kind of actually digging the weather. Today I want to share about how my husband got healed from migraines after catching a parasite. Okay, so this is probably 10 years ago before we met. He does videography, so he got flown to Fiji for like a month to film something, which sounded like an awesome opportunity. And he went on a hike with some of these great Fijian men and drank water out of a river, and as you can imagine, potentially caught a parasite. Now, when he tells the story, he says he was on the floor for weeks, ended up having to get an IV, lost so much weight, couldn't keep anything down. Like a true horror story, and I've seen the photos, it's pretty bad. But one thing that's crazy about it is after the parasite incident, he didn't have a migraine for over a year, okay? So my husband, prior to that, had migraines or headaches every single day for like over a decade. And so then he gets a parasite, has the shits for 2 weeks, needs an IV, and then all of a sudden has no migraines. So that was one of the first clues to my husband's migraine being gut related. But why am I sharing this story? It's random, it's weird. First reason, it's something as a practitioner I think a lot about. I'm a nutritionist, I'm a GAPS practitioner, I specialize in gut health. And this is one of those stories that always just kind of trips me up in my mind and reminds me, and hopefully it will remind you, how important it is, A, to work with nature to our best of our ability, and B, is we don't know everything. We think we do, and often we think, parasite bad, candida bad, yeast bad, fungus bad, but we don't really know the extent of what's going on. Like I said, it was the best of his knowledge that it was a parasite. It also could have been a virus. Viruses are known to go into the body and eat bacteria, like a phagocyte, which is one of our immune cells that goes in and eats debris. Viruses can do that, and they're abundant in lakes and rivers and all that. So often people go, oh, parasite, we think it's a parasite, but it might actually be a virus. And in this case, I tend to think that it might have actually been something his body really needed. Now, I know that sounds so crazy, and he was in pain and everything, but if you can imagine, we know his migraines are gut related. Healing the gut through the GAPS diet is what has resolved his migraines. Going off the GAPS diet, eating processed food, brought them back, okay? So we know there's a connection there. And before he went to Fiji, his gut was in a terrible state, terrible. So the point of this is, like I said, we tend to think parasites bad, candida bad, all of that bad. We need to eradicate it. We need to go on a candida cleanse, a parasite cleanse, this cleanse, an antifungal treatment, it's just like fight against your body. And the point of what I'm sharing is hopefully to encourage you to not be thinking like that, to be thinking, how can we work with our body, to work with it, to support it, and to kind of see what it needs. Because sometimes that may look like drinking river water, getting a virus, and having it clean out and eat up all this bacteria that maybe he wasn't able to do with his limited knowledge and his processed diet and standard Western way of living. So maybe just think twice before we try to attack something in our body, and hopefully if you're like me, you're open and willing to learn from nature and happy to always be corrected and try to work with nature and use that as our guide. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for watching.